Hey, my name is Leorge and welcome to my podcast. This is the first episode in what will hopefully be a weekly series because this isn't a high effort project at all. It's just me in front of a microphone talking to you guys about a topic or whatever comes to my head, or having a casual conversation with a guest, which is most likely going to be a friend that you won't know yet, or you might know if you've seen the vlog series, but you'll get to know more on the podcast. And this podcast is very informal. I'll try not to say stuff like a lot of the time. But if I end up doing so every now and then, I'm not gonna go back and retry it. I actually have a friend in there you go, I just said it once. Oh goodness, you can keep count of how many times I say those, these kind of I just look, when it's very natural to say when you know the thought but you don't necessarily have the words in your mind just yet, when you're talking before you're thinking, if that makes sense. I think it does in a way. Some people, I know people, and I have been some of these people once, where you will start talking and it's a lot more common in children, or there you go, where you have a thought and you want to say it, but you can't quite find what words you want to use, and so you stall. But I did learn, I think a couple of years ago, a good tactic, which is very simple. It's to kind of just wait, don't say anything. It's a lot better, or at least a lot more professional, than stalling and saying, and stuff like that, which I try to put into practice in my daily life, but I'm not perfect. So, there you go. But I was referring to someone. I have someone in the YouTube. I have a YouTube friend. I just said again. I'm not gonna mention it now. But like I said, you can keep count. That didn't count because I used it in a correct context. But I should probably move on because it's been almost 2.5 minutes, and we're just on speech patterns. This isn't interesting. Well, it could be interesting to some of you, but it isn't what I intended the main bit of this episode will be, And these episodes are very sporadic. I've just moved on from what I was talking about before. I'll go back to the topic. I'll finish it off. I have a friend called Ethan. His channel is Ethyoso, Ethyoso. He's a very cool person. He's in the same school as me. He's also doing a film diploma qualification. And even though he isn't going to university, he already has a good paying job. He already has a well-paying job. And he's awesome. If you can check him out. I don't even know why I'm plugging another person's. He'll be a guest in here eventually. And then that's the appropriate time to plug him and to shout him out and all that. But I might as well mention that because I was comparing. Because he speaks really well. He speaks very clearly, professionally, and he rarely says the uhs or the likes that I have been saying this entire episode. But now that I've cleared that up, we are 4 minutes in, and I'm just going to move on to what this episode was going to be about, and will be about, because I decided that it will be about this 5 seconds ago. Let's dive deep into my origins. Who am I? Where did I come from? What did I come from? What am I doing? Why am I doing it? How is this relevant to anything? What? Anyways, if you want to know the briefs, if you've come here and you don't know my main channel, my artist name is LeorgeRG, and my full name, or real name, quote unquote, is my channel name that you're watching this on. If you're wondering why this isn't on my main channel, it's because I want to dedicate the main LeorgeRG channel to mainly music stuff and short form content. So you'll see on the YouTube channel LeorgeRG the music videos and the behind the scenes horizontal long form videos, or maybe a track by track if I ever get to do a release that's more than one song, who knows. And as well as the shorts that I've also been posting on Instagram and on TikTok. because it's a multi-platform kind of business. You want to broaden your audience out. If you just post on Instagram Reels, sure, you can get a lot of following on Instagram Reels, but there is a wider pool of people who don't use Instagram Reels but instead use TikTok. And actually TikTok is the platform with more people using it exclusively. You'll have people who overlap, but if you were to take the people who exclusively use one short form content social media, it would be TikTok. But you can't also neglect the fact that Instagram Reels is also kind of a popular thing right now, as well as YouTube Shorts. Like, I'm a YouTube Shorts guy. I rarely go on Instagram Reels, and I rarely go on TikToks, but I find myself mindlessly scrolling for YouTube Shorts every now and again. It's becoming a problem. But, so that's why I have the LeorgeRG Plus podcast here, because this channel is more of a personal channel where you'll see the vlog, which I've been posting about already. As you can see, my last 3 videos were episodes from the vlog. At the time I'm recording this, I've only posted 2. Like, this is January 3. You're receiving this in what? I think January 7, the Sunday? Because I'm planning to have these every Sunday. Like, January 7, you'll receive this episode. January 14, you'll receive the next episode with a guest, which I will not spoil. And so on and so forth. I technically have a schedule, but do not rely on me to keep to that schedule because I am not a very organized person. I'm trying to be. That is one of my New Year's resolutions for 2024. We are in the new year. Welcome. Is to be a little bit more organized. I have like a kind of schedule going on of what I want/need to do every day. But that's pretty much it, because I'm a going with the flow person. Like, as you can see, I'm not necessarily sticking to one. I've switched conversations topics like midway, and now I can't stop thinking about the like thing from the beginning of the episode. I just need to ignore it. But like I said before, I'm the go with the flow person. Not only with conversation topics in this podcast, you'll see me switching topics every now and again, and sometimes going back on old topics, but also when I'm making plans or hanging out with friends, I know people who are the schedule in advance type people. The friends who have to, plan out exactly when and where and what's going to happen 5 days from now or 5 days before the thing. Whereas, since I'm not that busy of a person outside of school, if one of my friends was to call me up and say, yo, let's hang out or let's meet up in this place, most of the time, as long as it's in reasonable hours, if you call me up at 10 p.m., I'm probably not going to be available. But otherwise, I would say, yeah, sure, let's meet up. The problem with that is that I know way more people who are the opposite and are not only scheduled everyday people, but also the people who are somehow never free. They somehow have something going on every hour of every day of every week, meaning that you have to plan things like 3 months in advance, which is annoying, honestly. But I get it from their perspective. They're probably really busy with revising or whatnot, or other projects or work or something. It's just a little inconvenient on my end because I never get to see them as much as I would like to, because I want to see my friends. I'm not the type of guy who will call random people my friends who I've met once, These are people who I actively want to meet up and hang out with. So that's a thing that isn't technically related at all to the origins of me. But we're 10 minutes in. These episodes, I plan for them to be around about 30 to an hour maximum. An hour will most likely be reached with guests. It's a lot easier to lose track of time when you're talking to guests because you have an extra person to converse with, to bounce off ideas, bounce off conversation topics. Whereas on my own, I'm talking. I have to be the one to think of stuff to say and to keep this engaging and interesting for you guys. But regardless, I am Filipino. I am currently 18 years old. I turned 18 on the 28th of September 2023. That's when I turned 18. My birthday is that date, but on 2005. And if you guys are hearing any notifications, vibrations, you're probably not, or it might be really faint, but if you hear like a WhatsApp notification, it's because I'm not checking them right now because I'm recording this episode for you guys. But I am Filipino. However, I was born in Birmingham, in England, the United Kingdom, on my birthday, and I have lived there ever since my birth. And I know some of you are probably surprised about that because of the accent. But that's another story. That's an interesting story in itself, which I can kind of go through. Maybe either later in this episode or another episode with a guest who also doesn't know the origins. Or one who does. It's a funny story. But yes, I have an American accent and I can explain that. But I've been living in Birmingham all my life, and I actually used to be a nerd, a smart kid, a prodigy, specifically in computer science. I went to a grammar school for secondary. I had to pass a test, and I did. I took some tutoring lessons, and I did some practice papers, and it was a thing called the 11 plus, and so I took that. I got a high enough score, and then I got into my secondary school. And at that moment, up until, let's say, year 9, which is the British equivalent to, I think, probably 10th grade. I think that's probably how it works. Because you guys have... Wait, does it work? Or is it 8th grade? Ooh. It might actually be 8th grade, because the weird thing is the Americans have a thing called kindergarten, but we also have a thing called reception at the base level of our education system in primary school. But 9th grade is first year of high school, I believe. Because, 9, 10, 11, 12. That third year of secondary school. I'm currently on my phone trying to look this up for you guys. But I think 10... Oh, no, it's 8th grade for you guys. Year 9 is 8th grade. Year 10 is 9th grade for all of you Americans. Like the 3 Americans watching this video. Because right now I'm kind of a low reach person. I don't have that many followers by the time I'm recording this. And it's a slow growth, but it's the grind. It's the grind. We'll talk about the grind later. But I initially wanted to be a computer programmer. Either a software engineer or a games developer. But I was studying computer science and math for GCSE, which is our secondary level grade. However, by the time it got to year 10, or 9th grade, I had stopped, mainly because I didn't like the course. Computer science GCSE was horrible. Well, half of it was horrible. The practical side, which is all the coding and stuff, was pretty cool, pretty fun. But the theory was the side that I was never into. I didn't care at all about building a computer, learning about CPUs, RAM, motherboard, all of that kind of hardware stuff. I just wanted to know about the software. And then it was at the point that my parents put me and my younger sister, who was 3 years younger, into a stagecoach thing, which is more of a performance, acting, singing, dancing thing. I'm not a good dancer, but it was more like a fun extracurricular thing to do every Saturday, just to have fun, make friends, and to release some energy. Or exercise, I guess. But then it kind of got me intrigued more about performing as a potential future rather than coding. And then one of my friends, one of my close friends called Errol, he'll be a guest in a future episode as well. I can tell you guys that. He told me about this college, which is... I hate having to do all these American comparisons. These are entirely unnecessary. I shouldn't be even doing this. I should just kind of focus this to a British audience. But I have like I said before, broader scale. College isn't the same in the Britain as in America. College in Britain is the same as junior and senior year high school. So I'll just say college, but that refers to that. And then if I mention university, that will refer to college in America to get your degree. That cleared up? Now, Errol told me about this college in the city center of Birmingham, a roundabout, which does film studies, or not film studies, film production, and media, content creation, broadcast, stuff like that. And I was intrigued because I have a YouTube childhood. LeorgeRG and this channel are not the only channels I have. You know, I was a cringy kid. Like most kids, I was cringy. But being an early Generation Z, not even early, actually, Gen Z, I'm not early. No, early is like 1996, 97. Never mind, scratch that. Being a 2005 kid, or a tens kid, technically, because I was born in 05, and then I lived through the 2010s, I had access to YouTube, and I started an old YouTube channel. I'm not going to mention it because it's cringy, it's old, but it was my life, and it was a fun hobby, fun passion I had for pretty much up until technically actually last year, or a few years ago, a couple years ago, or last year, where I had been kind of uploading for fun, appealing to that channel. I was known for in my secondary school by some of my the people in the same year as me or grade, and I had been posting there to kind of appeal to them and make them. It's a fun time. It was a fun time, but I stopped posting, and I removed most of the videos there last year, or actually late last year, November, December time, because I look back at those videos and I cringe. Like it's natural to cringe at your younger self, to find that embarrassing or to feel weird about it. But I was a YouTube kid. I can't go back on that. Once you post something online, you can't unpost it. There are some weird things, weird as in embarrassing things that I did as a kid that has pretty much stayed. I wouldn't have done them if I had the knowledge I have now. But it's crazy thinking about it. In 10 years' time, I will find myself now cringy. When I'm 28, I will find my 18-year-old self cringy. And that's the paradox that we live in. The future will always look down at our present self, which is their past. But it becomes weird when we as the present know about that future when we look back at our past. What am I talking about? Again, going with the flow. But let's go back to the origin story. I had applied to this film school and I got in. Somehow I got in. I should probably tell you guys that I am not a film person at all. I don't watch films at all. I've seen probably 100 or even less than 100 films in my entire life, which is crazy. As a film student, you're supposed to have watched every film or half of every film, 500 films. But I honestly just don't find watching films that good of a pastime or a good way to chill and spend some time. If it's a movie I want to see, of course I will be excited and I will want to watch it. Like, I went to the movie theater cinema with a couple of my school friends to watch the Super Mario Brothers movie. That was a movie I was hyped about. Other ones include, well, my friends kind of, they kind of made me go watch Barbie, and it was alright. What other ones? I'm just thinking of ones. How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. That was another one I watched because I liked the How to Train Your Dragon franchise is one of my favorite movie franchises of all time. I don't care that it's kind of a DreamWorks oriented to kids. The movies and especially the TV series, it's good. They are really good. You should check them out. They Race to the Edge, and I think the second movie is on Netflix right now, and you could probably get the first movie and the third movie on Prime Video or something. But I got into the film school, and for a year, that's what I did. I was learning about cameras, directing, all the paperwork, the pre-production. The pre-production was a lot less fun than everything else. The editing as well, I learned about that. And after being the assistant director on a film miniseries, a TV pilot, I'd say, a four episode TV pilot miniseries, which was a very stressful experience. It was fun at points, and it was definitely impactful to me as me in my career sense. But it was stressful. Working with actors isn't the easiest thing in the world, along with all the problems that come in the way, the scheduling issues, the scripts, the communication. That's something I'll probably talk about with a guest who had worked on it as well at some point in the future. But after that, I reached the post-production stage, and at this point, I had been writing songs as a hobby. I currently, it's an exposed video, I guess, behind the scenes of how I make my songs. I currently use this website called Soundtrap to compose my music. And I know it's not the industry standard Ableton or Pro Tools or Logic, which I do have a desire to learn in the future, but right now, because I still have to do the film. I'm still in the film school, by the way. I'm still in college. I'm 18 years old. I finish in May. But I've been using Soundtrap as it's an easy and it's fun, and I'm good at it. I can write a song easily. I can put all the instruments in. And I've been writing songs for about a couple of years. I started in lockdown because I picked up something in lockdown. I learned keyboard for the years coming up to it, and I decided to write a song. It's a terrible song. It's not a good song at all. But it was a start. It's a start. And over the next year, I've just been writing songs for fun and just showing them to my friends, who, for the most part, have enjoyed it. But then I was tasked by the director, who is a teacher, the acting teacher, to create a soundtrack. The soundtrack of the soundtrack is not tracked. The soundtrack of the series. And I honestly found that more fun than directing or assistant directing the series itself. I like coming up with songs, lyrics, melodies, instruments, the like. And so June of last year, I decided that I wanted to switch careers from the film industry to the music industry. And now I'm on the path to becoming an artist. And as you can see with my social media and all my platforms and all that, yeah, that is happening. I've applied to universities, which for doing songwriting specifically. Songwriting or like creative artist, that sort of thing. Songwriting more than music. I was initially going to do music production, but then I kind of realized how much I didn't really care about the production desks and all the knobs. I just liked composing music and writing songs, playing the keyboard or guitar, which I'm learning currently. And so I've applied to a few songwriting degrees. And I've gotten some offers. I've gotten offers from three universities. I've applied to 5 because that's how it works. You apply to 5 universities. But I have auditions in actually less than a month. That's it's coming up. It's coming up. It's the 3rd of January. I think next week I'm going to London for an open day. Not even London, I think Brighton for an open day. And then the week after I'm going to London for an audition. So I have to actually prepare for that. Oh goodness. That's the realization I never thought I had. I thought I had more time to prepare, but I don't. So it has enlightened me. But that's pretty much my origin in terms of what I want to do and who I am. Well, you don't get to know my personality or who I am as a person, but hopefully these podcasts will give you an idea. If you want me to describe myself, informal, I guess creative in a way, mainly because I'm going into such a creative industry. And competitive. That's a random one that came into my head. When I play games with my friends, I can kind of get competitive, which can lead to good and bad things. Like, it's okay to be competitive sometimes. Sometimes I just get I get angry, which I do not want to be doing, but I get, because it's normal for humans to feel emotions that they cannot comprehend. I sound like a robot right now. Let's collect myself, and let's move on to something else. Let's talk about this podcast, I guess, in which, as you can see from the 25 minutes, it's pretty much a ramble. At least these solo episodes. There are two types of episodes in the LeorgeRG podcast, or LeorgeRG Plus. The solo episodes, which consists of me rambling on about something. I'll have a topic in mind that I'll think about before the episode, and then we'll try to circle back to that topic. I'll discuss that topic in terms of me, but also there are just times where I'll ramble onto something completely different and talk about that. Whatever I find engaging at a current time, I'll talk about. But there are also guest episodes, which happen regularly, where if you're expecting famous people, I don't have the budget for that. I'm sorry. They're most likely my friends who have interesting things to talk about, and so we will talk about that with them, and it'll be a fun time. It'll be a fun time. If you're wondering what else you'll expect from the LeorgeRG personal channel, you've already seen the vlogs, and you are listening right now to this podcast. But I do have at least one more series. Planned, which will not just feature me. It could feature me. There could also be some like one-off episodes. Maybe, if I'm cooking randomly, or I'm doing a challenge, or we're back in 2012 doing a tag, the best friend tag, or something. Part of me actually unironically wants to do a tag or answering questions with a friend, because I find it's fun to talk about things, you know? That's the reason why I started this podcast. But also, it's the life. It's the grind. I'll talk about the grind right now. I created my LeorgeRG channel a year ago. A little bit over a year ago, I think. And I started posting using the free websites to create videos with pretty mediocre audios. But now I've kind of switched to do it in a more conventional route, where I'll have all my old shorts are privated or deleted because they're not good at all. But now the kind of way I'm doing this is that I'm split between production-based shorts and casual, unserious shorts. The production-based ones include the Pop Plus Punk series that I'm doing, and the covers, and all the stuff that I compose, produce, record audio for. And then also you have the unserious ones, which is just me. It's a TikTok in the traditional sense that TikTok, except I'm not dancing, because I'm not a good dancer, like I said before. Even though, as of the moment I'm recording this, I may be dancing in the future somehow. This just reminds me from back when I did a play back on my final year of secondary school. I somehow decided to audition for this play, Little Shop of Horrors rendition, and I got the ensemble bit, and it was a time. Ooh, and if you're wondering the origins of my branding, because my branding is pretty much the sunglasses and technically the green varsity jacket, though that's not a thing that I wear always. The glasses I will always wear. The glasses I got from a common store. I'm not gonna reveal it, yet because maybe in like 10 years time I'll be able to capitalize it and create merch or something based off of it. But I got these items pretty randomly at two different stores, and then I just started wearing them together at school on random like on non-school uniform days. And then eventually I wore it enough times to where I was known as the guy who wore the glasses and the varsity jacket. And I also had a hat as well, but that has since outgrown me, to the sadness of some people who liked the hat, which I did like the hat. It was similar to like a gray top hat, but it wasn't a top hat at all. And I wore it in such a specific way. But that was the old me, and now I am just excited on what's gonna happen this next year. In the next couple days, I'll be recording audio and video footage for my second single, which is upcoming. I did tease that a couple weeks or like a month or two back. But if you haven't seen my first single, my debut single, The Death Flame, it's on Spotify, YouTube Music, all your fun little streaming platforms. It's a pop punk slash it's a pop rock song with strings in it, and there's a part which I composed into the bridge. How the bridge came about is because I was too lazy to write an actual lyrics for the bridge, so I was just like, strings, and there you go. And it then actually became a really cool bridge that I really like a lot. I realized how cool strings can be if used in the right context, and so I'm now trying to at least somewhat hint. I'm not going to use strings in every song because I don't want that to be my thing, you know. If you want to know my genre of music is this is the thing, upbeat pop and pop punk, because right now everyone's just into indie pop, right? Or like 2020s indie pop alternative music, which is fine, but I kind of miss the days back in the mid 2010s when everyone was listening to Owl City or some other Shut Up and Dance by Walk the Moon, and even to a lesser extent some old like One Direction music. One Thing or Live While We're Young are ones that come to mind that I found were pretty cool, and they were just fun, happy, light, uplifting pop songs or rock songs. And then the pop punk is because part of me also wishes I was kind of born as a zillennial, 1995-6, and grew up as a 2000s teen. Or, I mean, in that case, technically it would be something like 1990. Like millennial, I guess. Yeah, millennial. Where if you grew up as like a 2000s teen, because pop punk rock, that was the scene. That was what was playing on the radio. You got your All Time Low, you got your We the Kings, you got your Boys Like Girls, which is my favorite artist of all time, my favorite band. And if you haven't checked out their latest album, if you don't know who Boys Like Girls is and you like pop punk, check out their first album, their debut album, and the second album, Boys Like Girls and Love Drunk. Love Drunk features a track with Taylor Swift. Boys Like Girls did collaborate with Taylor Swift. 2 is better than 1. I kind of was hoping that Taylor Swift would perform 2 is better than 1 in one of her concerts, but she didn't, so it sucks. No, it doesn't suck that she didn't. It sucks that she didn't, but she doesn't suck. That I'll clear that up for any Swifties out there. If you want to know, my favorite Taylor Swift song is, what is it? Better Than Revenge, because it's a pop punk song. But Boys Like Girls favorite, you've probably, if you were a millennial, you've probably heard The Great Escape on the radio. That is my favorite song of all time. And then they changed in 2012 to more of a country pop, which was a switch, but it grows. It is an underrated bop. But if you haven't seen their latest album, Sunday at Foxwoods, it harkens back to those rock era while also mixing in a new modern twist to it, and also being influenced by the 80s a lot. Like Miracle is a very 80s rock inspired banger of a song. So that's your music. That's your recommendation of the episode, I guess. Don't expect that from every episode. But anyways, that my genre of music is the genre of music I like listening to. Upbeat pop and pop punk. Pop rock, kind of. Pop punk more than pop punk. Pop rock. And sometimes there will be a ballad acoustic songs, because if they're done right, and if they have really cool lyrics, a really good melody, and I can feel something for them, I do like acoustic songs a lot. Things that come to mind are December by Neck Deep, as well as Remembering Sunday from All Time Low, and Go from Boys Like Girls. That's a really good one as well. I am a 2000s kid in my music taste. I know. But I guess that's pretty much it for the origins of me. I don't want to go on longer than I need to. I know most people will probably just listen to the first 5 minutes of the podcast and then switch off or do something else. But if you're a hardcore podcast listener, if you've been here all of the past 36 minutes, probably you're doing something else as well. Like you're doing some homework, or you're perhaps gaming, or you're on a run, or you're on the bus going to work or school. Then I appreciate it, and I hope you stick around for the next episode, which will be a guest episode. And I'll carry on talking until it reaches around 40 minutes, because it's a nice baseline. It's a nice baseline. But I want, like I said, this podcast is very informal. I want this to feel like not necessarily me talking at you like a lecturer or a teacher or a documentary kind of, but kind of like a one-sided conversation where there's no authority sense, because when you're in some instructive, is that the word? Yeah, instructive videos or advice or professional video or lecture or meeting, business stuff, there is an authority sense where someone is the all high and you have to listen to them, like kind of in a respect. This might feel like a weird analogy, but what I'm trying to get at is that I'm not perfect, and sometimes I slip up, and I don't talk really professional. Like, I talk as if I'm hanging out with one of my friends, but I'm still sober. Because when you're tipsy, you slur your words more, you lose track of things. I have been tipsy before. I haven't been drunk. I do not want to get drunk. Some part of me wants to get a little bit more tipsy, as in drink a little more, because I want to loosen up more. Part of me wants to loosen up at parties and at clubs and raves that I will eventually go to, because I want to experience the thrill. But I'm not that irresponsible, and I don't hate my life to the point where I would rather just be drunk all the time or smoke or any other bad habits that could affect your health other than drinking alcohol and I guess using Q-tips to clean my ears, I guess. But with that said, I'm running out of things to say without waffling. So I'm probably just gonna end the episode here. If it might take some time because I have to do a verification thing, or wait a bit 2 months. But my Instagram, TikToks, other socials, my main channel will be in the description box below. And when it's out, the next episode will be on the cards, which is showing either in the last 20 seconds of the episode. But I thank you for joining me in this podcast experience. I'm trying not to do the like thing. I did catch myself doing it, but like I said, I ignored it. If you were to be so inclined, if you were to care, it'd be kind of cool to see a word count of the amount of times I accidentally used one of those words, because me using the words like stuff, those are on purpose. If you were to give a count of the amount of times I say those three, what are those, expressions, I guess, in contexts where I could have omitted them. Like, for example, me using the word like just then, it's used in its correct definitive context. So that wouldn't count. But if you were to do that, I would like your comment, and it'd be pretty neat. But with that all said, and with that all said and done, my name is LeorgeRG, and that was my podcast. See you guys.